Hey everyone, it's Linda, and I'm here with my good friend and Ironman, Steve from Lawyer's Title. And Steve, as you all know, is a very well experienced Ironman competitor, always either wins or places in everything he always does. So he's a good example, role model to be around during our training for the half Ironman.
I'm just a diehard.
He is. He's a little crazy with this stuff. So what we're going to do, we talked yesterday, Steve and I talked yesterday about the bike and how important the bike is, and I just don't know how to operate my bike properly with the gears. So Steve's going to give us the rundown with my bike. We brought the bike today, and as far as what gears to use, how it works, and all that stuff. So here we go.
All right, very good. Well, we kind of just decided to do this at the last minute, and we're sort of winging this, so bear with me. The first thing I told Linda after selecting a bike that would work well for her is to get fit. To have the right bike fit is probably the most important thing, because not only do you want a bike that's the right size for your body, but you also need to have the bike in the right position for your body, so you're not putting on undue strain on your knees and your hips or wherever. So getting somebody who's certified in doing a bike fit is probably the most important thing once you have the right bike size. So after that, it's just about getting comfortable with the bike. And that comes with a little bit of experience, a little bit of road time in the saddle. And so I guess as a kind of entry-level biker, or novice biker, I would recommend that you basically train where there's not a lot of traffic, not a lot of congestion, not a whole lot of other riders. So just kind of get familiar with kind of running through the gears. Get used to running through the gears as you're doing climbs, descending, ascending. It's all important. You don't want to go into a hill unprepared to slide up and down through the gears, or else you'll find yourself clipped in and keeling over.
That's exactly what happened this weekend, and I had a great audience of about 10 people who saw me lay the bike right down. So what I want to do is figure out how it all works, because I've learned how to clip in. Like, I'm pretty comfortable riding with the clips. Obviously, I've done pretty good clipping out, except when I crashed. So I don't know how to use the gears. I just don't know how it works. The bike fits well, and I'm happy, and everything's going pretty good.
Okay.
But I need to take it one more level up.
The first thing that I always do before I go on a ride, I check two things. I check that my brakes are in good order, and that I don't have the brakes rubbing on my rim. I check to see if they're cracked, chipped, or I'm having any kind of difficulty in the brakes. So I do a quick brake inspection, kind of roll the wheel around. At the same time you're doing that, you can inspect your tires. I've left rides before not knowing that I had glass or shards in my tire and got a mile away and got a flat. So those two things I check. When I usually come back from a ride, I have a rag. I usually just spin my wheel, rub my tire down just to see if it catches on anything, or see if I have any cuts or nicks, and those things can be pretty easily repaired. These are called clincher wheels, clincher tires, which essentially have tubes in them. So as opposed to tubular, I'm not a big tubular fan because I don't like to work with all the glue and stuff. It's a one-piece deal. I'm kind of old school in that I like having tubes too. So the one thing right off the bat I'd say, you need to keep extra tubes with you.
Okay.
And levers so that you can change your flats.
You're noticing I have no tools and no anything on here. Okay,
tools.
I have nothing.
So a bike pump or CO2, you want to carry that. I'm kind of partial to having CO2 because you have to put a lot of tire pressure in these tires, and pumping with a small hand pump is pretty difficult even for guys my size. So,
and those are just the tiny little canisters, right?
Yeah, the little canisters of CO2. You have a little CO2 dispenser. With a little bit of practice, you can change a flat in like 3 minutes.
Okay.
So it's pretty quick. Got a quick release on the brake. Pop. You have a little lever on the brake here, so it expands the pads out from the wheel. You unlatch this. I take my chain off. The front makes it easier to take the wheel off from the back. When you have the chain off in the front, you can take it off from the back. Real easy, and easy to put back on. Easier to put back on. Front, I rarely get front flats. I think most people get rear flats. Most of your weight is on the back. You roll over something sharp and you get a flat there. Front is even easier because you don't have the chain to deal with. you basically pull this lever back, it expands the brake caliper, the brake pads, and then take the quick release off. Another thing, I guess, to inspect, to make sure as you're getting ready to take off on a ride, make sure that your quick releases are nice and tight, firm. I make sure my back one is exceptionally tight, because when I get off my seat and I'm pedaling and I'm doing a climb, I put a lot of pressure on my wheel, and sometimes it will shift a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll get a brake rub. So
it's just a matter of this has to be all the way, right? There's
yeah,
nothing else you can do, right?
No. So yours is pretty snug, acceptably snug. What I do is, make sure that this is, you just kind of dial in the nut here on the side until this is pretty firm. You have to really give it a kind of good push to lock it down. Make sure it's spinning evenly with no rub. I kind of spot check the sides for both sides to see if there's the gaps equal on both sides, so that it's not offset and kind of centered. So, okay, so do your inspection. Get your tools put together. You can either get a little satchel for the back, or Velcro, some extra tubes in the back, and a CO2 and some levers, and you're good to go there. Okay, so let's talk about the gears here for a second. With a typical 10-speed bike, you have a big chain ring and a small chain ring, and the small chain ring is typically for high RPMs, climbs, and the big chain ring, this outer loop.
Because you're talking about this one in here,
correct?
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what you want to be on up a hill.
Yeah, typically, unless you have the leg strength to go through on the big chain ring, which most of us don't have. So basically, with a 10-speed bike, you'll have large chain ring, small chain ring, and a set of 9 or 10 rings on your cassette in the back. So as you're cycling through the gears, you have the left lever controls the big ring and the small ring up front, and the right side controls all of the controls the mechanism for the chain rings in the back.
Okay, so front and back.
Yeah, so essentially you have 2 rings to switch through on this side, and I think you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the back through here.
Okay. So when we rode the other day at almost 20 miles, I didn't touch this. So I rode the whole time just like that. In
the small ring. Okay.
I messed with this a little bit, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. So you're gonna all you need to do is really get the feel, because like we were talking about the other day, when you're getting to the point where you're spinning really fast and your cadence is really high, that's the time to switch into the next gear to get a little more speed, and then bring your cadence down, because the higher your cadence, the higher your heart rate, and you want to kind of keep your heart rate level so you don't burn your energy out too fast. So
if we're going flat and fast, I should be on this one.
It really depends on your effort. How much effort are you putting out? Where's your heart rate? What's your cadence like? I typically switch up in gears when I get into about 90 RPMs. So,
and I know this is a dumb question, but switching up in gears, what does that mean? Does that mean going this way or that way, or from this one to this one?
Well, it can mean actually either. Okay. So if I'm on the small ring and I am on the small ring in the back, means that I am spinning pretty fast. So as I cycle up from here and I switch up to the next gear, you want to say the way around. As the chain goes down to the smaller ring, it has less teeth on it, so it is going to spin slower. So the more teeth, I guess it would be the higher spin. So you're just going to cycle through until the point where you drop below like maybe 80 RPMs. Then you're going to switch back down just to again, because